So with that, let's just find a comfortable seated position on the mat. And we'll start by grounding through our sits bones. And then let's pay attention to our spine and our posture. So long, tall spine. Pretending like your head is reaching up to the sky. And on the next breath, let's start with little neck circles. So dropping the ear to the left side, rotating around right ear to right side, and looking down. I'll let you take this at your own pace. And while you're doing your neck circles, let's try and keep the whole spine as still as we can, only moving the neck and the head. And let's switch directions. So neck circles to the right side. And back to center. Inhale those arms up to the sky. Exhale in the heart center. Maybe create a goal or intention for today's practice while we're here. I'll give you just a second to think about that. And from here, let's place the left hand on the mat next to us and reach the right arm overhead to the left side. So we're right by the left ear there. And gently, let's start to pull the head down to the right shoulder. So hopefully we're getting a big stretch on the left side of the neck. And moving that left arm, we'll place it behind our back. Let's move that right hand so it's just a little bit behind the ear. And look down like you're sniffing your arm. So now the stretch should be on the left back side of our neck, or just the left side. On the next inhale, we'll release that, bringing the right hand to the mat. Inhale the left arm up to the left side of the head and slowly drop that to the right side of the head, and we'll slowly drop that to the left. And on the next breath, we'll bring our right hand to behind our low back. Bring that left hand just behind the ear and start to gently pull our head forward like we're sniffing our armpits. And release that. Left hand comes to the mat, release the right hand. Let's take a couple shoulder circles. Just rotating the shoulders back. Maybe your shoulders are moving smoothly, or maybe there's a few spots that get stuck in. Just be aware of that. And we'll switch directions, so rolling the shoulders forward. And then we'll bring that to stillness. All right, from here, let's place our hands on the mat and swing those legs around into a tabletop position. And we'll just briefly move through our cat-cow today. So inhaling, dropping the stomach, exhaling, arching the back and tucking the chin. Just moving to your own breath. And on the next breath, let's bring that to stillness. And we'll take some hip circles. So first to one side, whichever side you want. Just getting some lateral movement in there as well. And then let's switch directions. Maybe getting bigger with the hip circles as you go. And whenever you're ready, we'll bring that to stillness. All right. From here, let's tuck the toes and lift the hips into a downward facing dog. So hands and toes on the mat. You're welcome to walk out your feet here. Getting a big stretch in the calf. And on the next breath, let's lift up the right foot forward and lift up the right foot and step it forward into a lunge. Perfect. We'll just hold this for a moment. And you're welcome to be on your toes, or you're also welcome to drop that back knee down to the mat, whichever one you prefer. And from here, let's inhale, arms and the torso up, reaching the sky. And a slight back bend if you want, or if you can, to a crescent or a high lunge pose. And on the exhale, bring both those hands to the mat. Let's keep that left hand in the mat and reach that right arm up to the sky for a twisted lunge. Getting a little bit of a shoulder opener there, chest opener. And on the exhale, bring both those hands back to the mat. Let's step that right foot back into downward facing dog. I'll give you just a second here. And then on your next breath, let's reach that left leg up and step it forward into a lunge. And just hang out here for a second, stretching out those hip flexors. And just like last time, you're welcome to be on your toes or you're welcome to drop that back knee. And let's inhale, arms and the torso up. Slight back bend into a high lunge or a crescent pose. Hold this for just a second longer. And on the exhale, we can release those hands back to the mat. And keeping your right hand on the mat, let's inhale, lifting our left arm to the sky. A little bit of a twist here. And on the exhale, we'll bring that hand back to the mat. And let's step back to our downward dog one more time. From downward dog, we'll release, dropping the hips and the knees onto the mat. Let's bring our big toes together, send those knees wide on the mat, and drop the hips into a child's pose. So back onto your feet. And you're welcome to make child's pose as active or as passive as you want. To make it a little bit more active, you might walk the fingers forward a little bit. You might lift up the palms so you're just on your fingertips on the mat. And if you want to walk your hands to one side or the other, this is your time to do so. And on the next inhale, let's start to lift up, lifting up the hips through a tabletop into either a kneeling or on your toes plank. So we'll straighten those legs if you want to be on your toes. And whichever one you're in, whether it's kneeling or on your toes, the goal here is to be one long straight line. We won't be here long, just a couple of breaths. And on the next breath, let's bring our right leg forward into our lunging position. And let's walk that right foot over to the left side, dropping the knee into a half pigeon. So, perfect. Here you're welcome to be on your hands for a tall torso and keep the chest a little bit more open, or you're welcome to drop onto your elbows. If any of you are really looking for a more intense stretch or a secondary stretch, You can keep your right hand in the center of the mat in front of you and reach that left arm back to your left foot or ankle or quad, stretching that back leg. We're just going to hold pigeon for a couple moments. And on the next breath, if you're on your elbows, let's bring both those hands in front of us. We'll tuck the back toes and step back to a plank. Either on your knees or your toes. One long, strong, straight line. And then let's step forward with the left leg into our lunge. We'll walk that left foot across to the right side, dropping the knee into a half pigeon. And once again, you're welcome to keep your hands on the mat here or drop onto your elbows. If you are looking for that additional stretch, you'll reach your right arm back behind you to that right foot or ankle. And on your next breath, rather than stepping back into a plank again, this time we'll bring our right leg up to meet our left and into position. So coming from up here, we'll rotate onto that left hip, moving that right foot around and actually into a tented position on the mat. You can keep your hands next to you or behind you. Start to drop those knees to the left side. Back to center. And to the right. Hopefully we're feeling a stretch in the opposite glute. Back to center. And we'll send our legs straight out in front of us. All right, stack your underneath and let's take a deep inhale, reaching those arms up to the sky and hinging from the hips. Let's exhale forward over our legs, reaching to our toes, or at least in that direction. And we'll inhale to a seated half lift, so bringing those hands up our shins. And exhale, reaching forward just a little bit further. And let's inhale back up to our tall spine and staff pose. I failed to mention, but if you have a block or cushion that you'd like to use to elevate your hips while we're here, we'll be doing a couple seated positions, so you're welcome to use that here. All right. So for our next pose, let's bring those feet together in front of us. So like the bottoms of our feet together. Knees wide, straight. I can demonstrate for this one. And we'll start with our hands just on our ankles, tall spine, lift it up. And as much as you can drop those knees close to the mat. And on the next breath, let's bring those feet just a little bit further away from us. Deep inhale. And on the exhale, we'll start to fold over, hinging from the hips. We want to keep our back neutral as much as we can. And on our next exhale, let's start to walk the fingers out in front of us, reaching past our feet. Let's walk them to the right side. And back to center. And to the left side. And back to center. And on the next exhale, let's slowly walk our hands back to our tall torso. If you have a block or a cushion, let's remove that. And bring the knees to a tented position in front of us. And slowly we'll start to lay it onto our back. So tented knees, we're on our back on the mat. If you want, you can keep your hands by your side in this position, or you can reach them out to the sides. Whichever one works for you. If you do want to reach your hands out to the side, it's going to assist in balance just a little bit. You want to have your palms face down, and depending on where you're at, you may want to walk your feet closer to you just till they're about a foot away from your body, tops probably, so 8 to 12 inches. And let's inhale, lifting the hips up here for a bridge position. And while we're here, we want to be lifting from the glutes. So if you're compensating with your low back or hamstring, let's just make sure we're lifting from the glutes. It's really important to strengthen these, especially so we don't put more strain on the low back than we need to. And exhale, release back to the mat. And inhale, let's lift up into bridge one more time. If you'd like a challenge, you can lift up one leg, straightening that foot out, keeping it straight. So we want it at the same angle as our bent knee. Beautiful. And let's release, dropping back to the mat. Give yourself a little rest. And inhale, lifting up into bridge. If you did lift up one leg, this is your chance to lift up the opposite leg. And let's release that back to the mat. Great job. That was our little strength exercise of today. From here, if you want, you're welcome to stay here. If you'd like, let's straighten our legs, lifting them up to the sky in a waterfall position. So hips on the ground, feet towards the ceiling. You're welcome to have your hands underneath your hips here for a little bit more of an inversion. I'll just be here for like a minute. And on the exhale, let's slowly release those feet back to the mat, back to our tented position. Let the blood reach your toes again. And then whenever you're ready, let's walk our hands over to the left side and up into a seated position. I'll give you guys just a second to get there. And once you're here, let's inhale our arms up to the sky. Exhale in the heart center. Thank yourselves for coming to do yoga, doing what's good for your body. I thank you for showing up. It's good to see your lovely faces. Namaste. I hope you guys have a great Friday, and I will see you back Monday. If you have any questions or requests, let me know.